hi to the 4 people who watch my videos, but this one's gonna be a 19 things I learned while solo traveling at the age of 19. I think this is 19 things. I'm not sure because some of them kind of flow together, but I thought that would be a cool title. So, also, my shirt has heart-shaped pockets on it. Isn't that cute? Anyway, so I guess I'll just start the video. So I started traveling when I was 19 years old, like solo traveling, and I'm 20 now. So I started last year pretty much. And through that experience, because I was doing it nonstop constantly, I learned a lot of things. And since it all happened so fast, I feel like I had to deal with a lot all at the same time. So while maybe it's not realistic for everyone's solo traveling journey, I think that this is kind of a good list that you can take with you any trip you go, even if it's a small trip, a big backpacking trip, anything, you can apply these to. So let's go ahead and start. Okay, I'm gonna get interrupted approximately 5 times throughout this video. So if I have to keep pausing, that's why. There's just gonna be cuts. So, okay, the first one is going to be how to take care of yourself when something happens. When you're solo traveling, there's not really going to be anybody that's around you if you get sick, if you get hurt, that you can rely on. So you really have to take care of yourself in that kind of situation. And the first thing I would say is listen to your body. If you are not feeling well that day, it's not worth it. Just go to your hotel, go to your hostel, whatever. Just take a chill day. Everything else can wait, but if something happens to you, you don't want to have to cut your whole trip short because you got sick. You know, it's going to be even more inconvenient to be traveling while you're sick. So if you get a cold, a stomach bug, something, go get medicine, go do what you have to do, and just try to heal your body first before moving on. So the biggest thing that being alone teaches you is how to listen to those signs that are going on in your body. So I would do that for sure. Call someone if you have to, like call a friend from home. Maybe Google what your symptoms are. I know like Google's not always the best source, like Google Doctor, but it can help if you have no access to other medical help. It could help. Or maybe ask ChatGPT. I don't know. I have not been in a situation that has been that bad that I've needed to do that, but I've had sicknesses and other issues while traveling. Okay, so number 2 is making new friends. So people always ask me if solo traveling is lonely. I'm an only child, so for me, I'm used to being alone all the time, and sometimes it gets lonely, but in those kinds of situations, I just call a friend back home or my mom. But the benefit about being alone is that you are much more open to meeting new people than you would have been if you were traveling in a group, for example. It kind of forces you to step out of your comfort zone a little bit more. And some tips that I have of how to approach people, like maybe you're traveling alone and you want a cool picture and there's no one around you to take a photo for you. You can always ask somebody, maybe a person your age or somebody that you think is like cool looking, you might want to be friends with them. That's always a great icebreaker, and maybe they want you to take a photo for them too, and then you just magically somehow become friends with them. Honestly, not every time that I've asked someone to take a photo for me I've had the intention of being friends with them, but somehow it just happens, because what other way are you just gonna randomly start talking to somebody and you might hit it off? And a lot of my friendships right now, I think about maybe half of my solo traveling friends have been through that way. Other times they've just been kind of sporadic, but that's a good icebreaker. I haven't really heard other people say that, but I would take that advice. But yeah, and also the great thing about making friends while traveling is, yeah, sure, you'll get their WhatsApp number, but it's really up to you to decide whether you want to keep those people in your life long term or not. So it kind of goes back to that concept of if they wanted to, they would. When you're at home or you're at work, you're kind of forced with people that you meet through school, through your job, all these kinds of things, and you're pretty much being around the same people all the time. So you end up becoming friends with them. But what happens when you step out of those settings? Like for me, I noticed that when I stopped going to school, I lost a lot of my friends from school, because you realize that some things are just situational and that's totally okay. Like they're there for that time in your life, but you need to also understand that when you're meeting these people, nobody's forcing you to have a relationship with them after the trip. So there's a kind of beauty that comes from those organic friendships, because when you are traveling, you're in the same mindset as all these other people that you meet. So you get to choose who you vibe with the most, and that is where the strongest friendships come out from, in my opinion. All right, so number 3 is going to be pivoting. If you have a flight delay, cancellation, weather, anything, you need to learn how to be flexible. And so since my dad is a pilot, I do have a bit more flexibility, but it also comes with some sorts of drawbacks. Like, I'm not going to go into the details on how that all works because it's just a long situation. But if you have something that goes wrong, since you're traveling alone, there's a lot more things you can do to kind of backtrack and be like, okay, assess the situation, calm down, and know that there's always going to be an option. I know, like, sometimes it's not the best case scenario if your flight gets canceled, if something goes wrong, but you always have an opportunity. For me, I would say don't try to plan so much ahead of time. And I know it's hard not to. I totally get that because of flight costs when you book last minute, hotel costs when you book last minute. Those all add up. But if you're in the situation where you're taking things one step at a time and saying, like, okay, like right now I'm in Albania, I don't really know where I'm gonna go next, that's probably my advice of how to approach things, because there could always be some situation where you have to cancel a booking and then you lose that money. So if you're backpacking, if you're just staying in hostels, I would probably wait to book things if you can. If there's no crazy expensive flights involved, that's probably my biggest advice, because you never know what's gonna happen. Okay, number 4 is you have more freedom when you think. So once you kind of step out into doing your own thing, you realize that you really can do whatever you want, especially when you're alone. You don't need to wait on other people to get ready to do this thing, that thing, whatever you want to do is what you want to do. If you're not feeling well, you take a rest day, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video. If you just want to chill and walk around, or if you want to have a crazy jammed itinerary, totally up to you. There's no right way to do it. It's just the way that you want to do it. And so I also would say, like, this is just like a side tip. If you are traveling with somebody else and you don't want to ruin the friendship, because I know the best way to learn who someone is by traveling with them. If the friendship's gonna last long term, I don't know, I can't speak for every friendship, but I would just learn to, if somebody wants to do something and you don't want to do it, you need to have that open communication with the other person that it's okay. Like, nobody needs to do everything that the other person needs to do, and people need to learn to have situations where, okay, one person, I'm gonna go and do A, B, and C, and D. If your itinerary aligns with that, great, we'll go see it together. If you want to do something else that I really don't want to do, then we split up for a part of the day, we come back for lunch, we do something else, we come back for dinner, and that's okay. And that's how no hard feelings are gonna be created. You can do whatever you want to do. I'll do whatever I want to do. Whenever we intersect, great. But not every trip with a friend needs to be like constantly with the other person, because I know in some cases arguments do occur. I haven't really had that situation because I don't really travel with other people, but just for anybody who wants to travel with a friend. Okay, another thing that I learned is the world is not actually that big. I mean, think about it. If you're in, I don't know, Sydney, Australia, and you live in Minneapolis, for example, that's probably maybe 2 flights to get back to Minneapolis, I would say. Like, if you're flying, I don't know, Sydney to LAX, LAX to Minneapolis, that's 2 flights away from home. And I know the duration might be long, but the actual process of getting there is pretty standardized, I mean, around the world. And I would say even if you live in a more remote area, you're probably max 4 or 5 flights away from your home. And the more you travel and the more you build up connections with other people, it kind of makes the world seem smaller and you feel closer to different cultures. And it's beautiful to have a friend everywhere you go, because if something goes wrong, you're like, okay, like I feel safe because I can always call on someone, or I have someone in this time zone. If I can't call someone back home, like I know someone here and I can talk to them. So that's another wonderful thing that comes from solo traveling. Okay, the next one is no one cares if you're alone. Um, I do things alone all the time, even when I'm at home, like going to the store or whatever. And while it may seem that there's a lot of people around you that are in groups, you start noticing that there's a lot of people around you that are by themselves too. That's another thing about being alone. Like, this actually goes to my next point, but I'll just briefly touch on it here. You're way more observant when you're alone. So I think a lot of people tend to hyperfixate on the fact that they're traveling by themselves. Like, what are people going to think? Why am I alone? But the more you do it, the more you enjoy doing it. You have that calm time to yourself. You can reflect. Maybe just plan the rest of your trip. I don't know, like do whatever you want in that time. It's kind of beautiful, actually. You can listen to music, you can do whatever you want. And it kind of brings me to my next point where you need to be aware of your surroundings, obviously, when you're traveling alone. But that also comes with the fact that you are more aware of your surroundings when you're by yourself, because there's no distractions. It's just like you're way more observant in your area and pinpoint landmarkers too. Maybe the GPS isn't always working. It's good to know like your way back. Sometimes, I mean, you can't help it other times if you're going long distances during the day, but I would say notice small things, pick up on people's behavior around you, call a friend or make a fake phone call if there's no one to talk to you. Make up a fake phone call. There's even videos, like safety videos on YouTube or on Instagram where it's like you can have a guy talking to you like as if that's your boyfriend, like asking you when you're coming back. And you don't owe people an explanation for what you're doing, who you're with. Just keep going, do your own thing, and stay safe. So all right, what's my next point? My next point is, oh, okay, this seems like it may be obvious, but once you get to a certain point of traveling, you start generalizing. Don't do that. Every country and their systems, their airports, everything is different in each country. There may be a lot of similarities, like that's totally fine. But always be prepared for something that you don't expect. I mean, it's not always going to be a big deal, but don't think that every country's rules are going to apply to another country, because it's up to you to know all that, do your research, like what you can and can't travel with. What can pass through security, what can't pass through security. You have to know those things before you start traveling, or you can learn them on the go. That's what I did. So okay, here's another point. You don't have to like everywhere that you travel to. And I know that a lot of people around you maybe they'll be upset if you say that you didn't like a certain place, or you may have had really high expectations from seeing something on Instagram. And then you go there and you're like, man, like, why don't I like this as much as I feel like I should have? Or you set your expectations really high and, you know, you weren't met with the same thing. That's okay. That's part of life. And what other people like is not always going to be the same as what you like. And what you like is not always going to be the same as what they like. So you just have to you kind of learn what you like as you go. So it makes it easier to pinpoint the next place you want to travel to if it aligns with all those things that you like. So that actually takes me to my next point, is that just because you don't like something that everyone else likes, you can always find underrated places to go to. And honestly, for me, the underrated places have been my favorite places, because they're not as touristy, they're not as expensive, they're beautiful, and you just enjoy them a lot more. And you find like really cool travelers who go to those places that normal people don't really go to on their typical 2-week vacation. So you can meet a lot of cool solo travelers that way too. Okay, another thing is my 2 other points go together. So I guess I'll just like clump them. I don't even know how many points I have right now. I'm just gonna say 19 for the purposes of this video. This may not be 19, it may be more, maybe less, whatever. You need to learn how to pack a carry-on, and this was very hard for me because I love dressing up. I used to be an overpacker, but now I'm just a normal average packer. And oh my gosh, I don't know how I do this. Actually, I do know. Shout out to the postal systems in different countries. That's how I do it. But packing a carry-on is a really good life skill. I've traveled for 3 months with just a carry-on multiple times, and it is way easier to take that carry-on with you on the flight versus having to wait through baggage claim every single time, checking the bag, waiting in. I don't know if you guys have seen the crazy long lines in some places, but not every country has a very fast check-in line process. I mean, if this means that you get to sleep an extra hour before your flight, totally worth it. If this means you don't have to wait an hour at baggage claim, totally worth it. And some countries like Japan are not luggage friendly. So you need to be taking a carry-on. So if you're going on the trains, you can put them in the overhead and be stress-free. Yes, this means less clothing options. Yes, it means less stuff you can bring back. But if you really want to buy stuff, the postal services in other countries are typically cheaper. So you can do, like, I've shipped packages, big packages back for $20-$30 from Eastern Europe. So you can totally do that. And I live in North America, so that's a very cheap rate. I mean, if I were to send that same package to where I was, it would probably be like $200. Yeah. So you actually realize you don't need that much stuff. Think about what you really, really need, your necessities. And if you need to wash your clothes, that's fine. If you need to wash them in the hotel, that's fine. If you need to buy new clothes, that is also fine. But if you're going in with that mindset that you want to buy stuff on your trip, take as little as possible, and so you can have room for those things. This takes me to my next point is I would not be buying the first thing that I see. Like, I know when you get to a country, it's really exciting. Like, oh, this souvenir looks really cool. I guarantee you that same thing that you saw, 5 other souvenir shops down the street are gonna have that. If you're looking for authentic souvenirs, you need to shop around, spend more time looking and being aware. Also, different stores are gonna charge different prices for the same thing. So by not buying the first thing you see, you can ultimately find a better deal on that souvenir that you wanted to buy. Okay. Gadgets to bring. This is pretty important, and I think you can find like lists of these on Pinterest or on Google. There's some tools that I would never travel without. For example, the power outlets, like the adapters that you can like push the button and they adapt to different countries, like the USA, Canada ones, EU, UK, all those, Australia. So they'll have all that. So you just take one port and you charge your phone or computer, whatever. But also you need to be mindful of the wattage differences in different countries. So some places use higher voltage and wattage, and some use lower, and that really affects the speed of the charging of your devices. So just be mindful of that as well. Something I would also always take is a portable charger. There's small ones that you can just attach to your phone. Like, they don't have to be those like big lumpy ones. Always have it charged, because you never know. My battery actually dies faster in different countries because it's always searching for cell signal. So whatever battery life you think you may have, like you may have a great battery life in America and then you go to like Japan and it's awful. So you need a portable charger no matter what. It's also like good safety practice to take it with you. And okay, this one was my like a couple points down, but I'm going to mention it now. I would always carry cash of some sort. Even if you don't have the cash of the country that you're in, I would always have American dollars or euro with you wherever you go. Because if you didn't get a chance to exchange your currency, that's fine. Most places will accept the US dollar or euro as a legal tender. Like, they'll just take it. So have it on you, because a lot of places internationally won't accept your specific card type or card at all. They'll just be cash free, and you don't want to be stuck in a situation where you can't pay, and you can't find an ATM. So just be mindful of that as well. Okay, another point is learn the metro and subway systems. Cars are not always the fastest way to travel. I know if you're North American, we're used to taking cars everywhere, especially most people live in suburbs. So driving is the main way that we get around, and there's not really a subway or a train system to take us there. In other countries, they're fast, efficient, and clean, and they are the fastest way to travel. So just learn about that, buy your tickets. That may help you save a lot of money, and like you don't have to rent a car all the time. And it's also a really cool experience to just sit on a train, do whatever you want, read a book, knit, I don't know, do what you gotta do. Okay, so this one is a point that I learned throughout traveling more and more. I didn't have this mindset when I first started traveling, because at that stage I was just like, man, there's so many places I haven't seen. I just want to like pack everything as much as possible and like never come back here and go to other countries so I can visit like every country. Don't think like that. Think in the terms of, you don't need to do everything all at once in that same spot. If you want to, that's fine, but it's also totally valid, especially on longer trips, to take a rest day. You don't want to burn yourself out because you're not going to be enjoying anything that you're doing. If everything's just like itinerary, wake up at 8 a.m., do this till like 9 p.m., that's not really going to be fun long term. It's fine. You want to have a really packed schedule for 1 day or 2 days, great. But also be mindful of the fact that you might want to take a rest day, and that's fine. And who's stopping you from coming back to that place if you're missing something? You can always come back. You just have to be mindful and make the trip work out the next time. So, okay, this point I actually heard someone else say it, and I really appreciated this one. And I think it would be helpful for a lot of people that don't really know where to start with solo traveling. And that is by starting small. So I didn't just like miraculously one day wake up, pack my bags, and fly to Europe for 2 months. Like, that did not happen. So my story actually was when I was 18. That was the first time I took a flight by myself, and it was to New York. But I met up with my dad there, so it wasn't like I was alone the whole time. But that was still the first big step in my journey. And after that, things just kind of like sped up really rapidly, because once you gain that confidence and realize that doing the smallest thing is not that scary, it picks up. I don't know, it's just something about it. After that, I started taking trips that I would fly to and like meet up with someone there. But then I had one trip where my friend left early, so I was just there alone for a day, and I was like, wow, this is actually really nice. I can do whatever I want to do. Like, I'm just like by myself. I didn't expect to be on that trip. I wouldn't really count it as a solo trip, but the last day was a solo trip, and then I just went home. And then slowly after that, I took my first ever solo trip. I think it was to Portland, Oregon. And after that, I just like went around the US solo for a bit. And then I came home. I went with my parents on a trip to Italy, and I was like, man, like there's so many more places in Europe I want to see. So I ended up just staying, and that was a really hard decision for me. And I remember being like really nervous the night before, but then I was starting to miss, my family and stuff. But once I sat on that plane, or once I got to the airport, I kind of forgot about all the sadness. And I feel like this before I leave for any trip really where I'm by myself. You have that sadness when you're going to the airport, but then once you get there, like you're so busy with checking in the bag, checking in this, checking in that, getting on the flight boarding, all that, and you kind of forget about the fact that you were sad. And then once you get going, you're just like, you're having a good time, so you're not really thinking about the fact that you were sad at all. So that's how I would start. And then I ended up staying for like 2.5 months by myself, because I was just having such a good time. So I'm glad I did that, because once you take the first step, it's so much easier to keep going. That was all the points that I wanted to share today. Let me know if you want me to make a part 2 or just like other traveling related videos. But thank you for watching, to all 4 people who are watching right now, and I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.